Yes, I did. I haven't.
Good evening. 6:30 PM, October 27th, 2025. I call the Select Board regular business meeting to order. If you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being broadcast live on PCTV Cable Station 8 and on the YouTube web platform. A recording will be available on TCTV YouTube channel later on. Is anyone else here recording the meeting this evening? Please silence your phones at this time, please. And as a reminder, this meeting tonight, it's not a town meeting. Public participation will be limited to citizen input, agenda item, a maximum of 3 minutes per person per the board operating procedures policy, for a total of 21 minutes, so as to be fair for all. This meeting is governed by the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law and Robert's Rules of Order. This meeting is for the board to conduct its business. We have town employees and some board members who need to be places in the morning, as well as residents watching from home who may lose interest in meetings going 4 hours or more. On that note, Mr. Toth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Folks, I'm starting to get a little bit anxious because I'm always the one who makes the announcement, but can everybody please join me in a brief moment of silence? I learned very recently, Mr. George Coulard, longtime resident of the town, former member of our fire department and rescue squad, passed after a brief illness. I do not have all the information yet. I'm sure we'll be seeing some announcements coming out. But I would like to extend my wishes to the Coulard family during this time of turmoil for them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Toth. I knew George for a long time, but I've known him since literally I was a little guy. Glad to hear. First item on the agenda is the approval of prior meeting minutes for 10/8/2025. I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes as
Yes.
presented.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 10/8/2025 with an amendment to my name on page 5. It's section G. My last name is spelled with GRAVED. If it could be struck in GRAVS. And then I, section I, where it says the word chair is missing an I. And then on page 7, where it says 6 months, it says MOTH. I think there's supposed to be an N in there. And then, oh, there's the word where. It says they were in that section there, right next to months on page 7. There might be more, but those are the ones that caught my eye.
Have a motion?
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none on the motion, how would you vote? Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Basso?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item on the agenda are executive session meeting minutes for 9/28/2022 11/30/2022 and 12/28/2022.
Mr. Chair?
Excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
We are reviewing, the board has a responsibility according to the open meeting law to review, executive session minutes, to decide if the reason for them being not public, is still relevant. There's a time requirement. The board has recently been found guilty of violating the open meeting law with respect to executive session minutes, failing to review them periodically. These are minutes going back to 2022. They were approved not to be released to the public. These were employment agreements that are public online. Hence, there's no reason for them to continue to be not released to the public. Again, we have a responsibility to do this according to the open meeting law. In the past, either they've forgotten, laziness, carefree, whatever the situation may be. I want this board not to be found guilty of open meeting law violations with something so easy to avoid. So as long as I'm chair, I'm gonna keep up with these minutes, and as soon as there is no reason to not release them, will be put in front of the board. And we will continue to review past minutes as I find them that have not been reviewed. So,
Mr. Chair, I would like to, the 9/28/2022 was posted online. It was voted on the October 12th, 2022, and it is currently online. I printed out a copy of it. So that one is online. We did, the board did post that one in the executive session. I'd like to make a motion now to accept the minutes, for 11/30/2022 and 12/28/2022.
motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none on the motion, how would you vote? Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Basso?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The next item is citizen input. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak? Mr.
This Tewksbury Road. Couple of things. The first thing is, this time last year, there was questions about what was gonna happen for plowing at the end of Gray Road. I just want to publicly say it went really well last year. The repair work that was done last year to the damage that gets done every year, you know, that they took care of it the spring, late spring, early summer, was really good. We're perfectly happy with the town using the end of the property again to do the turnaround. So thank you very much. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I don't know how to put this, so I'm just going to put it out there. There needs to be more clarity on the separation of duties across select board members and what they're involved with and what they're not involved with. And there's an appearance. And I think what I'd like to state publicly is that I think there's some folks that need to be significantly less involved with previous positions. They're just way too involved. So thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing none, under new business, the first item is new employee.
Mr. Chair,
Ryan.
we're excited to have Jill Blood as the new executive assistant in your office. She comes with a lot of experience, specifically from Ashby, doing this exact job, and then working for various school districts. Beforehand, she's finished her first full week and her second week. She's enjoying it here, and I enjoy working with her. And so I think that you're going to get a lot of good work product out of her. And so that's it on that. We're very happy to have her.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to have, two people back in the office. We're still doing some catching up, but, we should, smooth out and, get back on track where we need to be. Mr. Graves, Greater Gardner Turkey Trot. Please.
Mr. Chairman, I intend to be here for the rest of the meeting, so if there's anyone that would like to go first before me, I have no problem with that at the discretion of the board.
Everybody on the board have a problem with, put this down?
No.
Thank you. Mr. Chief Bennett.
Evening.
Good evening. Yep.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the treasurer was actually scheduled first. No problem with the chief going, but you have, you might want to ask to
Sorry.
take it out of order if you want to switch it.
You're already there.
Yeah, you gotta go.
No arguments,
I'll
guys.
ask you.
Come on.
Hot seat, you gotta go.
Okay, we're, all right. Let's, we'll get started. First quarter, new fiscal year. Saw our first full-time female officer graduate from the police academy. Additionally, we had one officer resign for personal reasons from full-time status, stepped down to part-time status. Fortunately, we had a part-time officer wish to elevate to full-time status, so we had a almost seamless transition. The station, one last outstanding project was completed in the first quarter. The flagpole memorial area of the station was done. The flagpole itself was finally replaced after being damaged in a windstorm. Additionally, we finally received and replaced the incorrect panel on the Norman Bliss Memorial Bench in October 25th of this year, so just this past Saturday. We invited the relatives of the Officer Bliss and presented them with a commemorative retirement badge. If you are not familiar with Mr. Bliss is the only officer in the history of Templeton that was killed in the line of duty. Cruiser fleet, on September 11th of this year, we finally picked up and took possession of our new police vehicle, which I might say was ordered last December as part of ARPA. Unfortunately, our Ford F-150 Interceptor was involved in another accident and is currently out of service. Thankfully, no one was injured because of the accident. Would you like me to explain the accident, or we all set?
As long as the officers all set. as far as I'm
Okay.
concerned.
Department-wise, all officers have completed their first of 2 mandatory firearms training for the year, along with their required TASER recertification. Additionally, all officers participated in the first of 2 annual physical fitness tests that was also held on Saturday morning. Throughout the rest of the fiscal year, all officers will complete the rest of their required MPTC and post-required mandatory trainings. Unfortunately, the state with the MPTC and post has required a lot of unfunded liability trainings on the departments across the state. So it's difficult to keep up with all those trainings. Since the formation of the post commission, I've been advising the board that part-time officers will be phased out with the new training requirements mandated by post. When I took over as police chief, August 2014, we had 10 part-time officers. We currently have 3. One is out on indefinite leave. The reduction on our staff has caused strain on our ability to properly staff our shifts with 3 to 4 part-time officers built into the schedule just to make the coverage work. We cannot continue this course as a result. As a result, I'll be requesting to increase our current full-time staffing to 11 full-time officers, including myself, to eliminate the part-time shift in the next year's budget. However, our department can't be asked to do more with less as business as usual. We have been staffed at 10 full-time officers, just getting to that level not 3 years ago, back to that level, and simply cannot meet the required expectations of our community. Our department should be staffed at 1.5 officers per 1,000 residents. We should have a minimum of 13 to 14 officers. The conversation needs to start now regarding a Proposition 2.5 override. We needed one last year. Over 2/3 of all towns, cities and towns in the Commonwealth are facing 2.5 overrides. The police department is looking at $150 or $175 increase to our budget next fiscal year just to provide the minimum services. Anything else will result in a reduction of services and a possible elimination of the midnight shift. Any questions? Any question from Mr. Knight?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Where do you come up, or how do you come up with these required or requested staffing levels? Because I've looked all over the place and I can find nothing that says 1.5 officers per, and I find that actually the ICMA states this is a poor method to do it, and they suggest doing it based on data.
So the FBI always releases data pertaining to officers per 1,000 residents. They will not put in writing exactly the required specification. All departments in the state of Massachusetts, except for Newton PD, which is a wealthy community and has no crime, is the only department below 1.5 officers
Templeton.
in Templeton.
And we also, I mean, I know you haven't got to it yet, but, you know, looking at the department activity just below this, I removed the ACO because the ACO is handled by the combo of Winchington and the ACO offices, correct?
Yeah, but those are our calls for ACO.
Well, they're your
Not
calls,
mine.
but they're handled by
Well, by the
the ACO, which is a joint effort between Winchington and,
intermunicipal agreement.
right, and there's
yes.
no actual offices in Templeton that are on ACO, is that correct?
I think what he's asking is, yes, they belong to the other community staff, yes.
Okay, so that's why I removed them just for numbers purposes.
Okay.
And the balance comes out to something like 304 calls or activity,
Okay.
which comes down to like 3.4 per day. It, to me, doesn't seem like a lot. You know, and I've looked at over the past number of months, the reports, and I don't see a lot of, you know, called activity. I see some, definitely, but a lot of it is initiated, you know, going to, you know, check out the businesses around town. I'm just a little confused on how we get to what we need, because we're also not including, you know, staff members from the dispatch, which, you know, fill a function at the police station that would have to be handled by an officer under normal circumstances. You know, the greet at the front door, the answering the phones and all that, somebody would have to do it if we didn't have a dispatch here.
That is correct.
So, you know, the way I'm looking at it is you could say we have 15 members, because we have 5 dispatch and 10 police officers.
I would disagree with that because the dispatcher is not qualified to handle police calls.
I understand that completely. I'm just saying there is work in the police station that they are doing. That would have to be done by an officer otherwise under that breakdown.
But then if that was the case, then we would need, the dispatchers would be police officers, and then we would need additional officers.
Well, you would need police officers that would be, if you had just police officers, they'd be handling the, you know, calls, the door,
and so forth, I would assume,
If we just had police officers,
which is kind of what we're talking about for staffing.
well, yes and no, you're working with two different entities.
Yep.
Police can't do dispatch and dispatch can't do police.
Right, but
And there's no
Dispatch-
way we could ever, with the amount of officers we have, staff the dispatch center.
oh, I agree. I'm not even saying that. I'm
Okay.
just, all I'm saying is the dispatch officer at the door that greets me when I go there and that answers the phone, some police officer would be doing that if we didn't have a dispatch.
If we
unit.
didn't have dispatch, it would be.
Right, so that is one officer that is not needed, in a sense.
Are you so, excuse, may I? Are you sort of making the point that dispatch should be counted in the FTE total for the department?
It should be accounted for, not accounted like one for one. I'm just saying there are duties that the dispatch does that would have to be handled by police officers if we didn't have the regional or the dispatch. That's all. So I'm saying that, brings the 10 to potentially 11. And so, that's all I was referring to is that, trying to figure out how we're getting to these numbers, because to me, and I'm not a, police guy, per se, but I 3.4 calls in a 24-hour period, or 3.4 instances in a 24-hour period over a 90-day stretch doesn't seem like a high demand.
So on day shift alone, there are only two officers that are working. One officer is assigned evidence in court. One officer is assigned to the school. Who answers the calls? So when I have an officer in Gardner
Hmm.
at court, which is mandatory, or I have an officer that's at the school, there's nobody driving around town, there's nobody stopping cars, and the calls are getting stacked up for when those officers are available.
Mhm.
So that's why an additional officer. What we would propose going forward is 3 additional officers that would give 1 additional officer per shift on day shift and 3 to 11 that would be responsible for answering calls and patrol only and not have to be designated to a specific area.
And Chief,
We
I,
don't have that currently.
and Chief, I assume when that happens, mutual aid often has to respond.
If it's an emergency, yes.
So in other words, it becomes a tax on the
Other towns.
region, yes.
Which are also in a bad spot as we are.
Sure, yeah.
And the other part with the officers, and I understand what you're saying here, and I knew this was coming because, we potentially tried to fund the extra police officer 3 years ago with ARPA money, and then we, finagle that around to do it. So it was inevitable that in 3 years we wouldn't have funding. To me, because that was the plan. The plan was 3 years for ARPA funding. And then they found out they couldn't use ARPA for, payroll. So then there was some negotiation,
Well, I think it was more or less, ARPA funds had to be dispersed by December 30th of last year.
Mhm.
So you couldn't extend past that year to pay the final officer.
right.
That officer was built into the budget.
But only because ARPA was removed from funding that.
Yes, and it was built in.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. So it
Yep.
was, but you took the ARPA money and did other things with it, and we took budget and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So, so technically that's one officer's salary short, that was expected. Now, I mean, as far as the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah.
And the 150 to 175,000, I see a big problem with that is the union,
Okay.
because I just do. I think the union, and particularly this year, was unreasonable and took advantage of our previous TA. I really do. And I don't see any way that anybody can say otherwise, because the numbers are out of this world,
Yeah, I was,
you know, and I mean, that's part of the problem. I mean, you know, you look it out and I mean, we had, you know, it numbered out basically, and it's a lot of money. That is being asked to increase this year. Um,
I don't disagree with that.
yeah,
Although I would have to point out that what they were asking might have been exorbitant for at the time in the first year, 1 year period, but they're not asking for anything that's beyond industry standard. And they're still going to be not the highest paid, they're still gonna be right in the middle there. So yes and no.
right in the middle there, I'll accept for the fact, and this is just, you know, my issue with it. Okay. Okay, all right. Yeah, yeah. I think there's gotta be a little give and take. And I'm not seeing it. That's just all I'm saying. And I'll leave it at that. Hmm?
Well said.
Yeah,
Anyone else have anything for Chief?
I just wanted to ask about, because, we have seen a lot of, youth, activity and vandalization in the town. And I know that we don't have the police to do when I first moved up here, we used to see them on the roads. And I know we don't have the officer to do that anymore. But, is there any way we can do anything to help deter what we're seeing in other properties of the town? And some of the issues that we're seeing, that we're getting,
So
without a Proposition 2.5?
there's no way to increase any patrols.
Yeah.
There's just, when we did budgets last year and my personnel was cut almost $100,000, I said I would make it work. I've already stretched everything that I could stretch. We've already eliminated all unexpected overtime. We have no coverage. We had no officers at Warrior Fest. There's no coverage for Jack Frost. There's no extra, I cannot put any extra guys on other than the guys we have.
Right.
I said during the thing, if everything goes to plan, we will hopefully make it. I already had an officer come in my office last week and say that he's gonna be going out on sick leave. Extended. That's an unforeseen that I'm hoping we can make it through. But if I have 2 or 3 of those with $100,000 cut, not level funded, cut $100,000. I've already asked every and when I said I can do it for 1 year, it's because I asked the union to make every concession that I could. They're not gonna do that for 2 years. They'll let me get away with it for 1, but they're not gonna go 2.
And we're already seeing the effects right now in the properties the town owns. We've already had several cases in the town of vandals wrecking town property and had to be replaced and stuff. And so if you don't catch them, I mean, one of the incidents, you know, that's being taken care of by the individuals,
Absolutely.
but that doesn't always happen. So now that falls back on the town to maintain these things.
So when we were talking and Mr. May brought up, you know, let's just say 3.474 calls, whatever it is, there's only 2 guys.
Yeah.
There's 26 square miles to the town of Templeton. There's over 78 miles of road.
And if they're in court and
Or if they're tied up on a call, if
Yeah.
if one guy comes off, there's only 1 guy driving around. That's it.
yeah, cause when I used to be out there gardening, when I first moved up here, we would see it like different times of the day, we would see the patrol come up and around. And then through the years, everybody sees it now. We don't see it anymore. And without that, I mean, that's a big deterrent, especially with youth, you know, they never know when you guys would come around. So now we don't have, there used to be the different parks or the school properties. And now it's becoming an issue with having idle time and taking it out on our properties.
And it's, you know, it's just, it doesn't look like there's a lot, but if you could sit there and just watch what the guys do and see how they're tied up on calls when they come in, because now everything is everything's always de-escalation and you always have to go beyond the mile for everything else. It takes a lot of time. Everything they do now generates a report.
You get, well, we got like 9,000 people in this town. And you have, and how many officers? And if you get more than one incident,
It's just,
you can, yeah, we can use the other communities to come in, but at the end of the day, does the math work?
no.
No,
It doesn't.
yeah.
Mr. Bennett?
Thank you to the Post Commission.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it just said foreclosure, so update.
The resident,
Particular.
well, go ahead. Well, the residents were looking for an update on our foreclosure progress. The last time you were here in front of us, you had told us that you had some properties, but we had to wait to figure out how we can clean them up. And we had some properties in the motion, like Holman Street and different ones in the process. Do you have any updates on any of?
We're still waiting on land court for the ones on Holman.
And then you have the money issue on an account. Did you find out what kind of account that we need to set up with the law change? Like if you were to go to auction,
The ones that we can auction,
yeah,
we don't have to, we can keep that money.
okay.
So we're done.
They were done before, but,
Right, before the new
right,
changes.
but the new ones, once you go through the new ones, do you have the plan yet of what, or have you found out from the other communities what they're doing?
Nobody's sold any, so
No,
nobody's gotten any through foreclosure yet.
okay,
So we're waiting. I mean, we're gonna have to get, first thing is an appraiser.
yeah,
So once land court turns it over to us, we have to get an appraiser. We have 30 days to decide whether we're keeping or selling. And then we're gonna have to get a real estate agent. So that's gonna have to, I believe it's gonna have to go out to bid.
is that something that you need the board to do to help
Well,
you with?
once I
Something
get
the TA
in
helps you with?
foreclosure, it's all on the board to follow the rest of the process.
Mm,
That's been on the books for a while.
yeah.
So I just keep them coming and you guys handle the rest.
Yeah, it's just a lot of residents were asking about our properties, how in the process they were in, and what we're doing about it, taking them off the books, in the foreclosure process.
Well, I mean, they sit in tax title until we put them into land court.
Yeah,
But if I can't get them out of land court, because we've been offered, a few of them were offered judgment to us. And then I was told to hold off on them. So we didn't take them.
right.
So now they're just sitting in land court waiting for us to
Mhm.
say
And these are the
wanna
ones
go
that don't
through.
need the special
they
account,
do need the special stuff.
the special accounts
They
and
do
stuff.
need the new legislation.
Okay,
Yeah. But not a special account. We have to get it appraised.
yeah,
If we're keeping it, we have to figure out, I think it's 80% that we have to come up with to pay over and above what we collect.
right,
So we can take our money out of that, whatever the appraisal value is, whatever the taxes that are owed, interest, any fees for the attorney, the land court fees, we can recoup all those funds. And then we'll have to see what it was appraised at, and the difference has to go back
right.
to the owner. And then, so that's where we're at right now, but we're holding off. So I mean, I can keep pushing them through land court, but then we have to decide once we get them, you have to decide within 30 days. And if you're selling it, we got to get the appraisal, and then it has to go to a real estate agent.
Yeah,
And again, I think that needs bid.
Those are unfunded mandates that because most people don't work for free.
Right. Yep. So I believe we're gonna have to get, for a real estate agent, we're gonna have to get bids, have to go out to bid. It can't be anybody local.
okay,
But American Tissue, we're still waiting for, land court is still sending out notices to whoever they have to send notices out.
Yeah.
So we're waiting on them. So I don't know when that one will come to us.
It's a long process.
I mean, are we gonna try to keep that? Are we gonna sell it? They've been trying to sell it for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right now it's up for lease. They couldn't sell, so they're trying to lease the property
So what about the properties the town already owns?
that the town already owns. I mean, we can sell those at any point. Those can go up for auction. We had someone in last week looking for several of those town properties. Like, there's a couple on Fourth Street. The numbered streets, for some reason, there's a big interest in like Second to Fourth. And there's a few of those, if we auction the 3 that we already have, we can throw those in. The auctioneer will be glad to have more property. So if somebody wants to go through the town's list and give me a list of the ones that we don't want to keep for certain reasons, because I know there was one Bob had taken that we foreclosed on. That it was voted by the board that we were gonna use it for something, drainage or something. But if there's some that we want to get rid of, we can add it to this list and give the auctioneer a dozen of them if you know. He'd be happy to get them all going. The more we can get back on the tax roll, the better.
And how do we move into that direction? Who, is it the town administrator? Is it, does he get it, bring it to us to our agenda? I mean.
does,
I guess
does,
moving in this
does the
direction
board
is
want
something
me,
that needs to
if the board would like me to work with the treasurer and come up with a list of properties that we already own, that we want to sell, I'm more than happy to do that.
I mean, Justice has the list of all the town-owned properties.
Yeah, I have the list of the properties. I want to say a year or two ago, I know that you were supposed to be on the meeting, Cheryl, but the timing just didn't work. It was me, Lori, and Bob that had talked with one of the former town administrators about it. So I do have lists from when we had talked previously already sorted from what we do have, things that could be investigated. But some of them, there's gonna have to be some review whether or not they should go out, but the ones that are houses are definitely something that we should focus on. Because those are tax exempt on the books right now since it's under the name of the town. So those are not on the tax rolls right now.
And then the ones that you said that they're pretty much, they're ready to, but we're waiting to, the ones that we're waiting for to go to, the possible, for us to say to go to auction.
There's 3.
There's 3,
One I have to hold off right now because we're having a legal issue.
right,
The other 2, one's full
right.
and one we need to clear the property. Just a path so people can get out there and see it. You can't even see
Yeah.
it from the street. It's so overgrown.
But that's what we talked about last time, but how do we get to that point? Like, where do we get, how do we get it cleared? Where are we getting the money, guys? And how are we gonna get it on our agenda and vote and move on? I mean, yeah,
I don't think it's up to me to tell Bob to go clear some land.
I think if the board wants to look at those properties, we would have to send, grounds out there and have Bob and his people clear us a path and, because it's our property. It's basically like, we have to do the landscaping. If we want to sell it, so.
I mean, did a tree fall on that one?
There's all sorts of stuff overgrown.
It's
That
overgrown.
one's far back.
I mean, we can sell the one full.
with
We
stuff
don't
in
have to
it, yeah,
empty it,
yeah.
but we're gonna get less, hopefully. I mean, we can ask the auctioneer, when we give him a list, how much he thinks, as long as we're gonna get enough to cover taxes. That's all we really care about.
We just have residents all the time asking us when we're gonna move on some of these properties and sell
I'd
these
love to move
properties.
on some of these.
You
properties,
know,
but
I
it's
mean,
not-
just like, I would like us to start moving into that I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but, I mean,
So if the board would like to make a motion, I'm happy to, come back to the next meeting or the meeting after with, recommendations on what, we can move on. Maybe I'll,
Because you have one that. I was about to think one that's not
We
gonna,
have,
gonna be open.
we have to hold off on that for now.
You gotta remember, there's a few of them that are just slivers of property and some that are landlocked as well.
yeah, there's one,
Yeah, there's 90 something, it's in the 90s of properties that the. town
Yeah.
owns, and
Yeah.
some of them are little chunks and.
Right.
But, I mean, having a list of which ones a little, like we can't, and the ones that we can, I mean, that's what the residents have been asking for a while now. Yeah. I mean, what was the motion again? I'd like to make the motion that the town administrator could put a list together for us. And look at the properties that are possibly that we could move, put for sale.
And when we get down to our new meeting schedule, we decide how many meetings we will have in November, for example, we can pick one to put that on.
I mean, like I said, once I get it, judgment from land court, it's supposed to be on the board side.
Yeah.
It's supposed to stop with me there. And then it's up to
We have a
the
question
board how
on
they
that.
want to move forward with everything. I just am supposed to keep them coming.
We have a question in the back, Mr.
That
Chair.
would be, this is right up that inventory alley that we need, the town
Mm-hmm.
land and where it's at and.
Right. I know Carter years ago had an intern. I don't know if the map's still around or what happened to it, but he was marking everything where it was, what it abutted. I don't know that it's still around, but,
Something you should be able to look up in the GIS app, right?
oh yeah.
You can.
Mr. Chair, yeah.
We have a
Danielle.
Oh.
Was that a motion from Candace over there?
Yeah, she made a motion, yes.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Yeah, to have something, but which agenda, which meeting date, because.
It's when I can get it done.
Yeah, when he's gonna do it, so it's gonna take a little time. It's not gonna happen, boom, boom.
When, we
Let's leave it
decide
open-ended for
how many
me.
meetings to put it on.
But, yeah, you might not have it done by then.
I mean, we might have to wait till spring anyways to do an auction. I
Right,
think, I think we have a
Yeah.
little bit of time to,
make the list and go through,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if we can get him a good list, he'll come up here and because he does, the office here does everything. I mean, he had talked to some of the board members at one point, but he notifies all the abutters. He puts the notices in the paper. He does it all. And then when they bid, he is paid through that bid, the percentage or whatever. It doesn't cost us anything to have him come do that.
Mr. Chair, I
Yes.
think the assistant treasurer back there had a comment.
Yes. I am just getting mixed emotions, because one meeting you're telling us not to do anything. I understand we're talking about town property, we already have. One meeting you're telling us that we have to hold everything for foreclosure, but now it sounds like you want us to push everything through.
I think they want me to look at it and give them a recommendation on what properties. That'd be okay.
That, yeah, now.
Yeah.
The foreclosures, yeah, the ones that might be ready, I mean,
Right.
if those are the ones that are in the old ways of being that we don't need the
They're
stuff.
the ones that are coming.
And we
through now
should,
have the new.
I mean, why are we stalling on this? I mean, we should be taking this off of our, I mean, this is just me, my speaking.
I
but-
had two that were ready to come to us within a 4 to 6 time week span.
Yeah.
And I was told not to take them. So right now they're just sitting still in land court.
But that's
was told
something
to
that,
block.
it's possibly that, that could be somebody buying it and that's, you know how that works.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Just one question.
Yep.
I get what Danielle's saying and now I'm a little bit confused about what we're talking about here because it was my impression that just now we were talking about properties that had been taken before, prior to this act.
Right,
And that we would not be affected by the new rule.
correct.
Those I would agree to put on the list, those we should search for and those we should sell.
Yep.
I do still agree with the present ones that we should hold.
Okay.
Because we want to let other people be guinea pigs.
Well, this is the present ones that actually are not in the old rules. Oh,
They-
these are the new
They're
rules?
under the new rules.
Oh, the new rule ones, okay. All right, I thought we had a couple that were qualified in the old rules.
We do. There's three,
And they're sitting in hold.
right, no.
No.
We have three that are they're town properties, we own them.
Yes. Okay,
Oh, three houses that I wanted to auction.
okay. I got it now.
Okay.
Okay. I get it.
And so I think your motion was to focus on those, correct, Ken?
Correct, yes.
Those three in the town properties?
And the town properties,
The,
yeah.
in other words, the foreclosures that were taken before the law change.
Correct.
Yes.
That's what we'll focus on.
Okay, so anything else going through land court, no longer accept when it comes up?
Well, until we know what to do with the new law,
New law, you have to decide within 30 days what you're gonna do with
right,
it.
so until we know what everybody's doing, until somebody moves on it, or you have an answer to us on how to do it,
You have to call an auctioneer.
right?
I
You got
mean, you have
that,
to call an
Yeah.
appraiser,
right,
get a price.
right,
And then send it to a real estate agent.
right, but then you have to hold a certain percentage of the money because they're entitled to
Right,
it.
and that's all in the new legislation, how much
Right.
has to go.
And you know what kind of account, what is the account,
Yeah, it
enterprise
just goes
revolving
into-
account?
It just goes into a bank account until we find
That's
the,
something that we
the-
have to vote, or the people have to vote to open one, like we did with the demolition? Nope,
we just have to keep that money in an interest-bearing account
okay,
until we either find out who the owner is. If we know it, will go right away.
right,
If not, then we have to hold that money until someone comes forward. We have to try to find them.
now it just seems like you already know what to do, like,
Right.
yeah, so I don't know why we're waiting for a
Well,
guinea pig.
It's all in the
I'm trying to figure this
legislation.
one out, yeah,
Yeah, it's all in the legislation.
right,
If the auctioned price the bid ends up less than the appraisal,
Then we lose out on the taxes. Well, if we don't get enough to recoup.
I mean, you could get enough to cover the taxes, but where would the money come from the appraised value if the selling price is less than the difference of what you would owe them?
Yeah,
That's
he'd
where
have
you
to
would
get
end up-
his, right,
That's where you end up upside down.
right.
And you better have a pile of money to
yeah,
cover that. That's,
Well, the person buying still has to pay the auctioneer.
right. But I believe that's why everybody is.
Larry.
The towns are on hold because
Well, we can't auction off anymore with the new legislation. Not until after a year. It has to sit with a real estate agent for a year. Then we could auction it off.
but again, you can end up upside.
Yeah,
down.
definitely.
That's.
Depending on
that's
how
why
much is owed on taxes.
Towns are waiting, because if you
Yeah,
don't have the funds to set aside to cover the difference.
right.
Better have some money in your back pocket,
Yeah.
so, because
So if the American tissue property comes up anytime soon, do we tell them we don't want it?
but I think, don't they owe more taxes than the property?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know what the appraisal is gonna come out.
Yeah. I mean, they owe a lot,
Yeah, they do.
and it's possible that they won't, yeah,
So when that comes up, I'll bring it up and let you know that it's,
so the properties that we already do own that can be auctioned off, looked at and auctioned off under the old law. Those funds could possibly set us up to help us. Now, moving forward under the new law, so in case you need funds.
right. Because right
Okay.
now I don't have enough funds
Right.
to probably even get through this.
Right.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, on the motion and a second to have the administrator basically do an inventory of town properties and which ones we want to auction and move along. Any further discussion on that? So on the motion, how would you vote, Ms. Graves,
yes.
Mr. May,
Yes.
Mr. Toth,
Yes.
Ms. Vasso?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you, Danielle.
Next item is fire chief.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Toll, thank you for that moment of silence. That was very nice.
Thank you, Chief.
Well, first quarter report for the new fiscal year. 406 emergency calls with 69 inspections. We had our annual ambulance inspection was conducted by the state without any issues. There were nothing found, nothing to fix or anything. We made it perfectly well through that. Our license was granted for another year. So this inspection is conducted annually for all ALS ambulances. Normal maintenance for all of our apparatus and equipment for the fiscal year has begun. We've gotten through a few of the larger pieces right now and waiting on to get scheduled in for the remaining. I think I printed out the wrong one. We did get our new tanker truck that was voted back a couple of years ago in. It is in service. The old one was traded in as part of the deal. And it's already been out on calls and we're continuing to do training on it. We've had our dealership training with it for that truck already. And the members are continuing to get it out on the road, driving it, getting used to the new vehicle because it is very much different than our old tanker. And it's operating very well for us so far. The limited calls that we've had with it.
So how many running apparatus trucks, vehicles do you have now?
We have one ladder, 3 engines, tanker, 2 brush trucks, pickup truck. We had an inspectional vehicle, which was Bob's old vehicle, getting set to officially redline that one. It's got transmission issues that are not worth fixing. The car has over 250,000 miles on it at this point in time. It's not worth the money the transmission repairs would cost. We have command vehicle and 2 ambulances.
Thank you.
What a memory, chief.
My question, would be, related to the coverage. As we again had, 299 calls for EMS. So basically 3/4 of all calls were for EMS. And we're still breaking it down in the payroll 50/50. I think at some point that needs to be adjusted. Because it just seems like we have a large fire budget with no fires and we have a small ambulance budget with lots of ambulance use. But, for whatever that's worth, I just would like to see that adjusted at some point.
When the ambulance went full-time and the plan was for the ambulance reserve receipt to actually do the capital expenditures for the department and for the town to pick up salaries and all the other expenditures for ambulance and for fire. When it rolled out, the powers to be in the town, that's not how it came out in the very beginning. And it went into being split and it was very small in the beginning with more fire and it grew under Adam when he was the town administrator. He had me do a 50/50 split of the ambulance, all ambulance purchases, services, supplies and stuff like that would come out of the ambulance receipts account. The salaries, 50% of the normal salary of the firefighter would come out of EMS and the other half would come out of the fire budget, is the way we set it up. Calls, I agree with you. They are very much weighted towards the EMS world. That's where we are nowadays. And I can't argue that point, and I won't argue that point. You are correct. But the other duties that we do around the station in the community bring our average up closer to being equal duties for fire and EMS. When we're out doing inspections for home sales or furnaces or liquor license inspections or out inspecting the churches and all of these types of things, that is on the fire side. An ambulance company wouldn't do that. When we're in the schools doing fire prevention, that's on the fire side. Ambulance companies don't do that stuff. Taking care of all the fire apparatus, making sure our equipment is ready to go at any point in time. There's only 2 ambulances and the rest of fire apparatus. There is a lot behind the scenes that is not just EMS, even though call volume shows that a lot of what we do is EMS. It is broken down a lot differently with everything that we're supposed to be doing counted in there. And if we didn't have the EMS side of the funds coming in, if we had an outside ambulance service doing it, then the fire department's still expected to go on the ambulance calls, but we're not transporting patients anymore, so we're not bringing that money in. We still have the need for a fire department. Without full-time ambulance and having firefighter paramedics working, you're not gonna have a fire department. Call department is so hard to staff nowadays. And if we have to have a full-time fire department that's not with an ambulance, the salaries would be so low for just a firefighter, first responder, or maybe getting an EMT, compared to what a firefighter paramedic can make. Getting people to apply for those jobs would be very difficult. And we bring in, when I first became chief, we brought in, don't hold me exact to the numbers, but we were bringing in roughly $250,000 a year back in 2016, 2017. Last year, we brought in over $600,000. We're going up every year, helping to keep our staff and keep staff on site, to keep equipment in the stations, and to do what the town asked of us when the ambulance service went to being a billing service. The town asked, they didn't want to see us purchasing an ambulance again from taxation, from a 2.5 override. And when we first went to billing, the first year we did that, and we caught holy heck from the town. Since then, we've purchased 2 ambulances from ambulance reserve receipts. One that's in service now, one that's on order. In my capital budget this year, I just found out we need to replace our cardiac monitors. Those are going to be north of $100,000 for 2 of them. I have the money in my ambulance receipts to pay for those. I will not be coming for a 2.5 override or taxation for those. So in my mind, the system is working. If we continue to rise in our receipts, do we have the ability to fund more? We do, but just like the police department, we need more staff. Having 2 full-time people on every day is not necessarily always enough. They're getting they're getting overtaxed on what they're doing, because we're averaging 4-ish calls a day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but the paperwork when they get back from the station takes as long, if not longer, than the call itself to get all the medical portions right. So we get all the billing correctly. So everything the paperwork is correct for the hospitals and so forth. We just had an instance, I'm sure everybody knows, Hayward Hospital and Athol Hospital went down.
Yeah.
We could not transport to those hospitals. Our closest hospital was Leominster, 20 minutes away, and they got so overtaxed with everybody that was coming from Athol and Hayward that it was wait times. Whenever we go anywhere outside of Athol or Haywood, we do a tone out to try to get other coverage to keep coverage in this town. So that we have people here. We don't get it. There is a lot of times I am the only one in the fire station. My crews are committed on other calls or they're gone. We go to Worcester and we go to Worcester a lot for the type of calls that come in, not only when Haywood and Athol are closed, but major calls, strokes, traumas, heart issues. Those calls are best served for the patient in Worcester. I lose my crews for 2-3 hours at a whack. And again, I'm the only one there. We have a lot of times that we have double calls come out and we're using mutual aid quite a bit. If we could if we could have personnel in, I'm not going to tell you we can gain enough money to pay for those more people, but it would help cover that cost for some more people. But realistically, I'm looking at a minimum of needing 3 to 5 more guys for next year to keep things going and to keep covering the calls in the avenue that we're covering them. Even if I could add 1 more person on a shift, so hire 3. When I send the truck out with 2 to Worcester, that keeps a paramedic back with me in the second ambulance, we can now cover that call during my daytime hours. And if we hope to get a call person back after hours. Because
I get exactly what you're saying, but when I look at the budget, the numbers kind of look different, because last year, if I'm not mistaken, you spent $420,000 on ambulance out of the ambulance receipts reserved, which we had requested something, I think you had requested like 534.
Yep.
But we ended up spending 420. But we spent almost, like, I think 750,000 on the fire side. It just doesn't balance in my head. Just because we have, like, in your whole presentation today, there's 1 brush fire and 1 car fire. There's 69 inspections, which you have, I believe, if it's anything like what I've seen in 2 of the houses that I've just had done, it's 3 retired folks, on-call folks that go to the houses. So that doesn't affect the full-time staff in any regard.
but it's still part of my salary budget.
Oh, I'm not doubting that, but the fact, then you could get into the fact of why are we sending 3? That's all, because if we're sending 3 paid people to do fire alarms, it just seems a bit excessive to me.
We don't, so we're training 1 of them and I send 2 out. So we don't always send 3. I'm training somebody to be able to help out with it. And when they're only doing it once a week, it takes a little longer to train the people to do it instead of doing it all the time.
Because I had 3 come out to my house in last November, and I had 3 come out to a house, last month.
Yep.
It just seems like there's 3, and it just, I'm just getting to the point that I think there are other ways to look at this. We bought the ambulance outright cash, this last ambulance. There's, no reason that I can see that we couldn't lease it. And that gives you extra money per year for another employee.
So at the time of the ambulance, there was discussion both on leasing and purchasing it outright. And with the interest rates, it made more sense because we had the money in there, purchase it outright. We saved a lot of money on interest rates. Now, even though it's a lesser amount, the cardiac monitors I need to buy, I'm in discussions now still with the vendors, and I'm looking at the lease to own it, because right now it's the vendors I deal with are offering 0% financing. So 0 interest. It makes more sense to try to lease it for a few years instead of giving all your cash out.
I would agree.
So that's what I'm working for. And when the next ambulance comes up, it could be a totally different discussion on what interest rates are and how much available money there is in the EMS funds at that time. But at that point in time, it made more sense to purchase it outright instead of pay the money in interest rates.
That's a, reasonable argument. For that point, I wouldn't 100% agree, but I understand where you're coming from, and that is a reasonable assumption. But I just look at it that we got to do something about this, because when the ambulance came out, and I know you know this because you were there, and it was 250, I think initially, then 270, then 290, that we went up, and then you transferred over. But we were promised ALS service,
You have ALS service.
only in Baldwinsville.
No, you have ALS service in the entire town. The fire station happens to be in Baldwinville. Which, nothing I can do about that yet, although I will be talking to Justice's group with capital planning on a study to try to build a new station and make it centrally located.
So a 13-minute time frame to get to my house
Is unacceptable,
is under ALS?
is unacceptable, but you have ALS, you have paramedic service.
Yeah, but I mean, I just saying, because I had a first responder for 6 minutes doing CPR by himself with the ambulance not there until after 13 minutes.
Because we're coming from Baldwinville.
I understand, but I'm just saying, that's why it feels like a long time for ALS
It's a
service,
very long time.
and I think that's something that needs to be addressed, because the way I look at it, actual ALS service, timely service in Baldwinsville, and out here we get first responders in the south side of town. The police will be there minutes before the ambulance could even get there.
Yep, I agree.
And
It's, our station right now is in Baldwinville. There's a couple of different ways to handle that, and they all require capital. It's building a new fire station that is centrally located in town, or building a second fire station that's on the other side of town, and then manning that with additional personnel.
I do agree with you on the centrally located fire station, and I've been a proponent of that for a number of years. I think we should do it. I think it makes sense for the town. But that's just another note. But at that, I'm good with the discussion. Thank you.
Just a quick comment. Chief, if I'm not mistaken, the Medicare rural rates did pass very recently, so that was good news for everybody. The ambulance billing and recovery rates
I
should stay where they were.
I haven't seen that yet,
I've
but
been following the industry on it. That was released last week or the week before. Then everybody was very attention to that. What were the reimbursement rates going to be? And that comes up every couple of years.
boy, if they could just fix EMS billing, because the amount of money we give away, because we can't charge for everything. If we could get 100% of what we bill out, I could fund the entire fire department, EMS department, and all of our capital.
Yeah.
But that's a story for another government.
That's a wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh, I just wanted to ask one thing. Because we've had such a drought situation, should we be seeing people, do they have permits to do like bonfires or any kind of leaf burning or anything at this particular time of the year?
So right now, we are not in open burning season.
Okay,
The only fires that would be allowed is if you had we call it a cooking fire, but like a small campfire that's, contained in a fire pit in your backyard type thing.
mhm.
Those don't require permits, and there's no ban on them in the state right now. But it's not the correct, it is still open burning for agricultural, but we take that on a case-by-case basis. Those in town that have agricultural permits are very good, and they've been calling me and said, hey, we got some rain, and we got some rain forecasted. Is it okay if I burn? And yeah, they're very good with it, but
Okay.
if it's dry, then no. We just had a brush fire this weekend out off of Fern Drive, and don't know if it was in state land or if it was who it belonged to, but it was just a little ways out there, very difficult to get to. Found it to be a campfire, and it wound up being about 3/4 of an acre or so that actually burnt. The only reason we found it really was the drone. And we couldn't get trucks to it. We used, CERT's UTV to get people and equipment out there, and we had Phillips and Fire there with their UTV as well. So,
It's just that when I came in tonight, I seen like a mini bonfire, so that's why I wanted to ask.
yep,
Yeah, that
we
people
get
shouldn't
calls
be
about them
doing.
all the time, neighbors complaining and
Yeah.
everything, and we talk them through and we'll go and investigate them and, you know, we've had people put them out. We tell people to let them go down a little bit. And what we ask is that if you are gonna have a sorry, not a bonfire, campfire type thing.
Some kind of camp.
We ask you to call dispatch and, you know, there's no fee to it, but we like to get a name and a phone number and an address. That way, if something comes up, we know there's something in the area, you know, if we get a call for smoke in the area or something like that, you know, dispatch can tell us that, hey, there's an open fire over here, and we can go make sure that it's not what we're dealing with at that time.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know, thanks. What, Gary? Think you'll have a question?
I already stated at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Citizen input is the time for talk.
Yes, okay.
Other than that, Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening, board.
Good evening, Bob.
I'm here too, Bob.
Welcome, Jim. Good to see you again. My first quarter report for FY 26 for highway. And you have beaver problems at the old landfill in Stony Bridge that we're monitoring and keeping open. You've been mowing a lot of areas around town, over rail mowing throughout the summer. Street sweeping has been nonstop since we had repaired the sweeper. We had some trouble in the beginning. Ongoing pothole repairs, when there's no rain. Catch basin cleaning truck has been out several times, cleaning catch basins and DIs. The surplus auction we had this year was a great success. Moved a lot of old junk. Crosswalks and stop bars were painted on main streets and side streets. We assisted the water department with a couple of water breaks. The chapter 90 road requests were approved through MassDOT, which are underway as you see throughout the town. Whitney Road culvert has been replaced and was successful. We're paving that tomorrow. Then it'll be completed. They had several inspections by conservation during that process. Crew attended some training on backhoe maintenance and assess management of the new software. Mechanic's been going through the plows and trucks to prepare for winter. Moving on to the quarter report for 26 for buildings and grounds. Cemetery mowing and shrub maintenance is ongoing. Mowing exterior maintenance of the town buildings has also been a focus. Had several burials were attended to as well. Several flat markets and foundations were installed and poured. Sprinklers were set up to help the seated areas of the cemeteries that they've done. Houghton Park Playground was installed and mulched. They had the opening today. The dog pound had a broken spigot in the rear of the building that was replaced. The in front of the building was cleaned up with the vines and small trees. Down trees were cleaned up from summer storms at Green Lawn and Pine Grove cemeteries. Replaced the hot water tank at Town Hall. Building grounds labor work out for a month. The seasonal work is still on payroll, which will be coming to an end shortly. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Sure. Do we get the catch basins throughout town cleaned every year?
The whole entire town doesn't get done. We focus on the, more or less, we start with the MS4 outfalls to keep them up to par, and then we'll start branching out. We did do Olive Berry Road because they were doing assessment of the drainage, iron bond. And we'll be going back out a few more times before we put it away. We want to.
But just as a, on average, what's the time frame to do, let's say, all the catch basins in town? How long does that window take?
Probably looking at about 6 weeks if I had the manpower.
Oh, no, I'm just saying like now,
Yeah.
as far as getting it done, you know, do you get it done within a year? Do you get it done within a year and a half?
Well, if we don't, wherever we've left off this year, we'll pick up where we left off the following year. But if I was to put somebody in there full time, it would take about 6-7 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
A question for you. Over at Gilman Way, there's a sign that says the grounds are maintained by Building and Grounds. Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
I don't think
But
so.
you see that old.
Maybe old.
I'm not familiar with the sign, so
Yeah, really.
is it right at the point?
You drive into the parking lot and there's a sign that says Home of the Warriors and the field is maintained by Building and Grounds. Is that correct?
Right, no, well, before Parks and Recs came into play, yes, Building and Grounds did mow over there constantly. But since Parks and Recs got their laborers, they've been taking care of it the last couple of years.
Isn't that kind of a double expense? I mean, if you were doing it, why would you not continue to do it? Because Parks and Recs has the administrative oversight, but like the select board has the oversight of this building and these grounds, but we don't own a lawnmower and we don't have a truck and anything like that. It's just like, it's like a duplication of cost. Which Templeton Building and Grounds is a town department and that's all town facilities. And again, I see the sign there, so it says Building and Grounds is taking care of maintaining that area. It just seems like we have a duplication of expense to mow the grass.
Well, again, if that sign's there, it was there well before I was here. And two, the way Adam set up Parks and Recs, now that they have their own mower and some equipment, they just started taking over. I mean, if the sign, you want the sign removed, don't have a problem with it, but I would have to go see the sign you're talking about.
It's drive into the parking lot. It's right. You look at the new playground right there. It's big as can be.
Mr. Chair.
So it just seems like it's a duplication expense that is not really.
Oh,
I think,
what would be your wishes? To remove the sign or?
I'm just asking if the sign says Building and Grounds, so I just wanted to ask you if you take care of it.
I'll take care of it or change it, one of the two.
But all I was asking is if Building and Grounds, the intended fields over there, I just want to know.
Not recently, no.
All right. Anyone else have anything for the? Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Next up is emergency management. Mr.
Good
Curtis,
evening, everybody.
go ahead.
Okay. This quarter, we finally received the infectious disease PPE cash trailer from Central Mass Regional Planning Committee. I want to thank Bob Sosik for all the hassle he had to go through to try and get that thing registered. The paperwork that they sent us wasn't real great, but it finally worked out. Attended a meeting with Jeff LaGrose from the Montechusett Regional Planning Committee on Templeton's hazard mitigation plan update. The work group met with them in July. That was the last in-person meeting for the work group for this project. This project is supposed to end, well, it's no later than February 1st. And it's, we're getting down to the wire on this thing. There's gonna be a public meeting that has to be done at a selectmen's meeting beginning of December. I'm gonna need a date for that. I've been working with James on that one. Tom Calero, oh, I missed one, corresponded with MEMA local coordinator by phone, emails, and once in person during the summer. Tom Calero was appointed to Deputy EMD, replacing Don Warren. I believe he's in the audience there tonight. Team of 6 was sanded, prepped, and painted by the EMD and the CERT volunteers. Mike Dixon and I met with Bill Wright, the pastor of the First Church in Templeton. He had offered up the church as a secondary emergency shelter, and it looks very viable. We're still working on that. It is actually a larger space there than there is at the senior center. Team of 6 was sent to Lyman Signs for lettering. We had a meeting with Hubbardston's EMD at our EOC, which is Judy O'Donnell, to discuss holding a CERT workshop that was scheduled for October 4th. Mike Dixon and Peter Leighton did a presentation at that event as well. We put in a request for a recently decommissioned police cruiser, and that's, I believe, the next agenda item. We attempted to update the emergency manager's page on the town website, but we were unsuccessful with that. Still got to work on that one. And we sent in our quarterly report for the hazard mitigation plan update grant. We've been turning in quarterly reports since we started. The CERT team, they held meetings July, August, September. They assisted at the senior center for their 10th anniversary celebration event with parking. We were requested by the police department to control parking, pedestrian crossing, and traffic as necessary at the 8-3 summer concert on the town common. But it wasn't really necessary. It was, I guess it all has to do with whatever music is being played, because the one that we attended, we were not needed at. CERT set up a table and displayed some equipment at the 927 Touch-A-Truck over Gilmore Lake. CERT member Zach Collins held a CPR course at the EOC. And we conducted a basic shelter operations training for CERT in September. And then the last thing is the message board usage and request. Treasurer collector, we put up a sign for her for first quarter taxes. Rec department used it for sports sign up. DPW used it mostly during this quarter for road work. And Royalston borrowed the old message board, which is the only one we lend out, for about a month during this quarter. And that's all we have.
Any questions from the board?
Through the chair. Rich, the sign that gets loaned out, is that the one that came in on the grant versus the ones that the town had purchased? Is that why we're only loaning out the one?
Right, well, the old one, as I refer to it, you have to program it at the machine. And it was given to us by Homeland Security. And because it was given to us by anything given to us from Homeland Security, we have to let it be borrowed out if there's a need for it, if we're not using it. And we weren't using it when the request came in.
Understood. Thank you for that.
Yep.
Anything else for Rich on this agenda item? Thank you, Rich. We're all set on
Okay.
that.
All right.
Next agenda item is item H, to discuss an emergency management vehicle.
Would you like me to read the whole request?
Um, If it's not too long, sure.
Well, I can sum it up for you.
That would be your choice.
All right. The police department is in the process of decommissioning one of their police vehicles. We have a vehicle that we need to replace, and that is our current EM4. It's a 2010 Ford Explorer. This vehicle was I believe it belonged to the light department first, was given to us to go for Parks and Cemetery. Then it went to the DPW, and then I received it from them. This vehicle is running, it's being used, but it has issues with the transmission. Bob has told me that we shouldn't put any more money into this thing because of its age and transmission issue. And he also found out when we inspected it this year that it won't get another inspection. It's got the frame is starting to rust and a cross member is starting to rust. So that one is pretty much gone very soon. And that's the vehicle we're looking to replace. The reason why we need it is because we have only one other vehicle, which is an old police cruiser. So we have the 2 Explorers, and we have 11 trailers that we have to move around. You can't do that with one in some cases. We need 2. And the days of us using our personal vehicles is not an advisable thing to do anymore, so we've stopped that. We have had to do it on occasion, like if a vehicle is down. We put it into the shop, I forget when it was, at DPW a couple weeks ago, and it was still in the shop waiting for an oil change. When we had the event at the school for Warrior Fest. So we did have to use a personally owned vehicle to tow one trailer. But that is the reason why we would like to do this. I have talked with the fire chief. We've talked about sharing this vehicle because he is down a vehicle where he would use it for his inspections and training, and we would use it for our needs as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to transfer a vehicle from the police department to the emergency management department as requested.
So moved.
There a second? Is there a second on the motion?
Second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Sure.
Mr. May?
Hi, okay, I've done some looking around on this, and I'd like, to discuss that. From what I've seen, Chapter 639 of the Acts of 1950, which created the civil defense, does not require any vehicles for the town, from the town to be allocated to emergency management. Emergency management, according to everything I've read, when there is an emergency, has the ability to basically utilize any town vehicle that is. They all become available to them. Transporting signs around and stuff, you know, we have all kinds of vehicles in town. The police have vehicles that can trailer items. DPW has vehicles that can trailer items. Fire has vehicles that can trailer items. It seems like to me that we have 3 vehicles in a department that doesn't need them. And the justification is, in my mind, lacking. For all 3. So, I would like Mr. Curtis, if he could, to tell me why I'm incorrect regarding emergency management and the requirement for a vehicle.
All right. First off, we are one of the town's emergency services. This town has me on call 24/7, no matter where I am. For example, I got the call yesterday for the use of the UTV, and we took care of it. They could call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. We have to respond in some cases to some of these things. If we have to do road closures like we did for the fires last year or whatever it was for the horse barn in Templeton Center and whatnot, we have to do road closures. You go out there and stand there, even with cones, and tell me you're safe. Because it's not. We don't have a big enough police department to handle road closures on emergency calls. So they call us to do it. So we're out there in the pitch black sometimes. We need the vehicles for the lights.
Excuse me, Rich, for a minute. Who's we?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about CERT,
Emergency,
right?
emergency management and CERT.
They're
CERT is
different.
one of my tools.
Right, but they're a different entity.
No, they aren't.
Yes,
They
they are.
fall
They're
under
2
me.
separate entities.
No, they're not. Show me them in the budget where they're a separate entity.
Show me in the state law where they're the same.
I think we need to do a class for the selectmen so you can understand emergency management. Maybe even have MEMA come in and talk to you people. You can't not invest in your emergency management department. When I started this emergency management job back in 2008, I was handed a recycling container, a laptop computer, a mobile radio from MEMA, and a handheld radio. That's what we had for emergency management. I did it out of my house. We had nothing, no generators, no nothing. If you think that we can do what we have to do in town here to help out the other departments without vehicles, that's just ludicrous. It's crazy.
You have to get.
I don't appreciate that, but I just looked at the law and looked at what it says.
When
and
was
looked
that law
at the
written?
requirement. Huh?
When was the law written?
It's the law today.
Correct.
So,
It hasn't changed.
right. And it says no vehicles required for EMD, for emergency management. We need an emergency management director and we need an emergency management plan. That's the requirement,
You need an EOC.
which is what? A room?
A place to run an emergency from.
Yeah. That's a room. It's an office. The phone.
No, it's not.
Oh, no? I'm not gonna argue with you, Rich. I just disagree with you.
Well, that's your privilege, I suppose.
Yep.
It's not very much working toward investing in our emergency management department.
You're correct.
Oh, that's the way you feel. That's all right.
All right, all right. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none.
Mr. Chair, not a question, just a general comment. I understand the request to move a vehicle department to department. When did this board surplus this vehicle? That's not clear to me.
They haven't yet, Jim. When they had the accident with the pickup truck, they put that back in service. But it will be going out of service when they get their truck back. The last cruiser we got, just so you know, didn't cost the town very much to get it set up for emergency management use. It cost less than $1,600 total. And it's gonna last us, who knows, 5 years, 6 years. A $1,500 investment over a 5-year period or a 6-year period is a pretty good investment.
You're forgetting about the value of the vehicle itself.
You're gonna get a 2010 to put in the auction. Again, it's an investment into the emergency management department. It doesn't cost the town any money right now by doing this, and it gives us what we need to function.
Mr. Chair. Mike.
Oh, hold on. Two things on this. It does cost the town because it has to be registered, insured, and maintained and operated. That's fuel and other things. The only good thing I see about this is, and I think it's like only the second time that it's happened, maybe 3. But I believe it's only been 2, where a vehicle transfer from one department to another has come to this board. There have been trucks from the light department, the police department that have just ended up over here and over there, and it did not come to this board. And when you're responsible for putting together a budget and telling departments, you know, this is how much money you're gonna have and this and that, and you don't know and you're not made aware of, and it doesn't come here to be officially transferred from a department to another one, that's a bigger issue. And has been previously stated that the police department's maintenance budget has gone down because of buying newer cruisers in shorter periods of time and recycling out the older ones. And that's true. It helps the police department maintenance budget go down. But when you take those older vehicles and you throw them over here and over there and over there, that means the highway barn's maintenance budget increases. So there is a cost to the town. And, you know, it's, oh, hand me down, it doesn't cost anything, it doesn't cost much. But in the long run, it does. And that's my thought on that. As I said, the only good thing about this that I see is that it came to this board. It's not like you go to the senior center and you see a light department truck there. What's that doing here? Oh, it's Parks and Recs. Well, when did that get transferred? We have a police cruiser over on this department. When did that how'd that happen? Oh, we just move it from over here to over there. That's not the way to run things. That's not the way to run this town, and
Jeff, in all fairness, you're absolutely correct. I agree with you. But since Carter was here, that's when all this started. I mean, that's when I got my vehicles. We went through the TA for these things. That's how we were told to do it.
Mr. Chair, I do know the light department votes out theirs and they surplus theirs out. And then they give them to the different departments and that's how they're with the commissioner.
that is a transfer from
Yeah,
one department to another. When it went, then the vehicle went to the health department or the inspectional services, development service officer. It came here and it was tried to be portrayed as a gift, and I questioned it. And even the law shows how it's supposed to be done. It's not a gift, it's a transfer from one town department to another, and it needs to come here. We're responsible for putting together a budget, maintaining it, telling residents, oh, we need more money for what? To maintain older vehicles, that we tell them we're buying new ones to get rid of this older stuff to save money on the maintenance. That's how you don't save money, you free up money that you would be spending on maintenance. So you have those funds spend on something else that is needed more. It's a practice that
Just buy them a new vehicle?
that is probably the smarter thing to do, is to buy a new vehicle with a plan on when you are going to get rid of it. How long are you going to keep it? 3 years, 5 years? There are towns that do this really smart. They buy a new vehicle, they buy a transferable extended warranty. When you get rid of that vehicle in 3 or 4 years, a selling point, whether you trade it or auction it, there's a transferable warranty. You have a warranty on this vehicle for a year or et cetera.
But unfortunately, we're not in the position to do that right now. And as he said that, Chief Dickey will be using this for inspections as well as emergency management using it. We already have the vehicle. The police department's taking it out of commission. They're not gonna need it. They're not gonna be using it. So instead of throwing it up for auction, we can just put it somewhere else that it's gonna be used and it's gonna be.
But my point is, we keep doing this and we keep adding to the number of vehicles that we have to maintain. The fire department, for their inspectional services, has a utility pickup that was bought through state tax dollars, indirect cost to the town, but
Mr. Chair, when it also comes down to protocol and where it comes, if it comes in, how it comes, how they surplus it. That's to write down the requirements and send it out to all the departments to say, this is how you're supposed to do it. Obviously, somewhere down the line, board wise, TA wise has failed, so that would be something that I think we should do, where we put in what it is that the protocol for the town has always been, but hasn't been followed because it got shuffled someplace with different administrations or different boards. So I think that a clarification, instead of scolding, because it's possible that they just thought because of past administrations and so forth had different ways of doing things. So to put it in order the way it's supposed to be, if this is a policy of the select board, this is something that should probably go out to the departments that have vehicles and say, this is how the protocol works, this is how you surplus it and so forth. And I think that is a responsibility of the board to make sure that we get that information out to our employees so they understand, and department heads, so they understand the protocol on it moving forward.
Mr. Chair, would this board like to see a policy that covers the transfer of town vehicles between departments and a policy for how or when we surplus and sell vehicles?
it's this, and this isn't the first time that this has come up. This was an issue a few years ago, when, and I believe Mr. Terenzini was here. The highway barn had some old box trailers. And they wanted to get rid of, well, where did they come from? Well, I just took them from here and I took them from there. And again, this is where the inventory thing comes into play. So we know what we have and where it's at. And how
Mr.
many
Chair,
do we have? Excuse me, one
Okay.
person at a time
Sorry.
talk, please. Can't have two people talking at the same time. We have people watching on TV. They get confused. And that is one way to deal with this, is have an inventory so we know what we have and where it's at. And what the costs are to to operate these things in the maintenance budget. Because I know it sounds like we're saving money and, oh, this is the only way we can do this. Because we failed to plan and we failed to create and maintain a budget to buy things such as vehicles and equipment. And that's called the capital budget. We have a capital stabilization fund. And we fail to properly fund that and oversee that fund. So we could properly plan and purchase things, because I think it would be far cheaper to buy a brand new vehicle and assign it and be inventoried, and we know where it's at, how long we've had it, and when we plan on getting rid of it.
Chair?
Chief Dickey.
Mr. Chair, maybe, number one, for the fire department for this vehicle, besides inspectional services, we send people for out-of-town training and so forth, and this would free up a vehicle to send people to Lake Stowe or Springfield, wherever they go for training, is another use that we would use it for. But maybe tonight discussion is a little hasty and a little too soon. Maybe realistically what needs to happen is the police department's not ready to surplus this vehicle yet, because one of their cruisers was in an accident. They had to put it back into the rotation. Maybe when this finally comes out of rotation and the police chief does say he does not need this vehicle, maybe the next step should be that the town mechanic should take a look at this vehicle and see if it's serviceable for another department, what kind of shape it's in, looking at future possibly either repair costs or just maintenance costs, and how it could best serve the town, being either gotten rid of through an auction or going to another department. When I talked with Mr. Curtis about this, and the shared thing was sometimes vehicles sit because they're not used every day, and that is not good for a vehicle either. When we use it for inspections, or it has been used for a response piece in the past as a chase car, and we send it out for class and stuff, just keep the wheels turning, but not every day. It keeps the vehicle in better serviceable shape than just sitting. But maybe we're just here a little too soon. Maybe we just need to get, once the police department's done, then it can be devised a plan. You do know, because of tonight, there are two departments that could share this vehicle and could use this vehicle. And that could be something in the back of the board's heads when they finally get this vehicle surplus and inspected by a mechanic to see what kind of shape it's actually in.
And surplus of vehicles is a responsibility of this board.
Yes, sir.
That's nothing new, hasn't changed. You don't need a policy for that. That's the law.
Yep.
But that is my bigger concern than just this particular vehicle. It's too many vehicles are just passed on over here and there, and we don't think about the long-term cost of maintaining these older vehicles. So there is a motion, Mr. Mayor.
I just like to say one last thing before we get to a motion. And it's that when this plan for the 6 police vehicles came into play, it came into play at a capital planning meeting when I was on the capital planning. And the discussion went round and round and round, and it was agreed upon, and Carter was there and Carter agreed to it at the time, and it stayed that way until Adam took over, as far as I know. But police vehicles, because the objective of the time was to decrease maintenance costs and increase the safety and service from the police vehicles, that we would not hand them down, that they would all be traded in towards new vehicles. And that was another way to cut down the cost, because if you look right now, the vehicle that's about to be surplus is worth somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. that would take a nice bite out of that $80,000 Tahoe we're looking at. And I believe that is a much more frugal approach for the town than basically giving a vehicle to anybody who asks, and throwing it on Bob's maintenance list. It just don't work for me. So that's it. Thank you.
Anything further?
Just one comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Chief, thank you for the interjection. I appreciate that. I laud the effort of all the department heads communicating and coming up with a thinking outside the box and a way to do this. It's not intended to be a scolding session for anybody. It's just, we have not followed procedure for so long. And the surplusing of the vehicles, as the chair has stated, does need to come in front of the board.
100%.
So, I think it's great. The departments are communicating and it's working together. That is a wonderful thing. And that's something I've not seen in a number of years. I'm very grateful for that. Mr. Curtis, that applies to you as well, sir.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Mr. Chair, if I can. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say that I do understand what happened. It was under the previous, town administrator and how he handled things. And it was approved by him, and lots of them were going through the protocols that they were told to do. So it wasn't like anything, these department heads, they were just doing what they were told to do. Even though it's supposed to come to this board and all that, but they were told, so they were just following what they were told at the time. So I just think a clarification, and to remind them of it would be, even a memo or something, just to remind everybody on how the protocol goes. Would be, if it's not a policy, it's something.
What we need to do is trim Rich Curtis's budget because I think it's way too fat. $2,000.
Thanks, Jeff.
About $2,000 maybe. Anything further? So on the motion to approve transfer vehicle to the Emergency Management Department as requested, how would you vote, Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Basso?
Yes.
Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Point of order.
I am going to vote, I'm going to vote no, just on principle. But that motion passes. For potential, for the transfer as requested, when vehicle is available for, surplus, to be available to be surplused by the board.
Excuse me, point of order.
Excuse me, I said no, this is not a town meeting. I said at the beginning of the meeting, citizen input happens at that agenda item. This is board business, and that's just the way it is. Thank you. We have to be fair, and we get caught up in this discussion with people, and we get into things that's not on the agenda, and we just need to get the meetings, our business done in a timely manner.
You just pissed cricket.
Have a good night, folks. Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you. Good night.
Yeah. Rich. The next item is our select board meeting schedule. Back in May, the board had voted for our meeting schedule and the dates and the days. And then the last meeting, we voted to change our meeting days from Wednesdays to Mondays. And that has an effect on when we meet. There's some holidays and some other things, so we need to adjust our meeting schedule. The town administrator has put together a couple different options for us. So, Mr. Town Administrator.
Mr. Chair, so in your packet, you have a memo, FY 26 meeting schedule options. I did give you two options. Oddly enough, they sync up on January 26th, so they're only different from the beginning, and that holidays force a shift because my goal was to essentially give you two meetings a month every other week, you know, not to have back-to-back meetings, put some time between it. So I was always trying to have a meeting every 2 weeks or maybe every 3 weeks, depending on, you know, maybe a holiday. So that's why you see some interesting shifting, and didn't realize it till I did it out, but it syncs in January 26th. So thought that was kind of interesting. The main difference between option A and option B is that you have one less meeting in the year. Option B would include November 10th, and doing this exercise was valuable because it reminded me that I have a conflict on November 10th. It's without getting too personal, it's just a family thing that we put some money into that I scheduled well before I started working here. So I would have a conflict on the 10th, and I want to be at all of your meetings. So option A starts after the 10th, and then goes forward. Option B starts on the 10th, so you get an extra meeting in the year. And as I mentioned, both meetings sync up on the on January 20. Both options sync up on January 26th. Just down below, I noted, you know, just town meeting schedule and some holidays that affect the schedule. So it's the board's prerogative, but option B. Option B, I would ask to be excused from the November 10th meeting, but if you go with option A, it's not a problem.
Thank you. I have one thing. I went through our original meeting plan and matched it up with option A. The only issue I have with option A is we have something that we have to do sooner rather than later. That is a tax classification hearing.
Correct.
And once the board has that hearing and we decide on, we're having one single tax rate for all the 4 different properties, only then can the tax recap sheets be complete, so the tax can be sent to Boston and the DOR can approve, set the tax rate for the town. So the tax bills can go out by December 31st. Otherwise, they're put off until May 1st. I mean, the residents can voluntarily pay and estimate, but so that is my concern with waiting in option A by not having a November 10th meeting. That is the Marine Corps birthday, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I volunteered once and I volunteered for this, so I have to stick with this. So adding the November 10th to option A, as you stated, I went down our meeting schedule and it lines up pretty well. As I said, waiting till November 17th with regard of the tax classification to get that's gonna push the tax recap sheet, you know, vote and prep. And we're getting to the time where the Department of Revenue they got 351 cities and towns. They got 100 and something school districts. They got 5 districts. And there are fewer towns at this point in time, according to the DOR, that have their free cash certified. So you're gonna have that swell coming in. You're gonna have the tax recap sheet getting sent in, and school districts stuff, there has to be the snow and ice report done. This will get done before, it has to be, supposed to be filed, the school's E&D money before November, but you have all that stuff coming, so it's like you have a big tsunami of all this stuff, and the later that we have this hearing, the later the tax recap sheet, the later it gets to Boston. And will be pushed, farther down the heat, so
Sure.
I would like to add, if, for me,
Well, you just pick option B then.
option A with, but add the 11:10 meeting on it, and we can have that tax classification hearing on that day. and-
So if you did that though, just so you know, you'd have select board meetings back to back, because it'd be the 10th and then the 17th.
It won't be the first time, and we, if the board votes on it, I mean, it's,
You could just choose option B.
Then-
I just like, as you said, the dates on A kind of align more with what we had already chosen, but
Oh, okay, I understand what you're saying.
that's my point. Any other member of the board have,
We also have fall town meeting on the 12th of November.
Yeah, I feel like option B would be.
yes, and we had originally voted back in May to have a meeting on the 5th of November and the 19th, with the 12th in between. So having a meeting on the 10th, and then we would have the special town meeting on the 12th, and then we'd meet on the 17th, but this is just me. Mr. May?
Yeah, my only concern with option A is that we have a straight month between 12/15 and 1/12 that we won't be meeting. And I don't know that that's a good thing. So my thought would be option B. But I'm only one, and that's my reason. So that said, I'm done.
Any, so,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
I like option, well, I like the November 10th meeting. And the 17th option. And then I can go either way with the December meetings, and then I like well, they're pretty much the same, but option A straight through versus option B. That's what I was looking at when I was at home.
and the biggest thing we do in December, well, we generally take the capital improvement report, and we have to do all the licenses prior to the first of the year. If we fail to do that, then, we can get into trouble by, hey, how come I can't open my business because the select board dragged their feet or didn't do their duty?
No, yeah, Jill's on top of that. We plan to have that all set for you for December.
So, yeah, the 15th to January 12th is a while, but if something came up that, we absolutely had to do, we can call an out of sync meeting, but.
Yeah.
So, anybody wanna move dates around from B to A to B, or? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the select board meeting schedule, option A or option B for fiscal year 26. I will make a motion to accept the select board meeting schedule, option B. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just speaking for the assessor's office, what you stated about giving having that 11:10 meeting is probably a good idea. It would be the best opportunity. Considering where we are with being one of the towns that hasn't had free cash certified yet, it would be prudent that we have the most opportunities available before Thanksgiving to get the tax rate recap submitted. So by having the tax classification hearing on the 10th, it gives the Board of Assessors and it gives the town accountant opportunities as soon as everything is ready to get that submitted so that the tax rate can be set.
Because, yeah, everything is just, it's gonna pile up, so that was my only thought about the 1 November meeting. So. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, how would you vote, Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Vasso? And I vote yes.
All right, we will get those up on the website probably this week.
So item J is, I think we pretty much decided that one. This is to decide the date for the tax classification hearing of the town administrator.
Yeah, that's it, basically. And Justice would like it on the 10th. He also noted that I think in the past, the setting of this has been an administrative process in the background, that the board doesn't necessarily vote to set it. I don't know if that's true. The board can authorize me in future years just to work that out with the assessor's office. Or if you'd like to vote on it yourselves, we can do it this way.
We've generally had a hearing and a presentation by the assessors to make the decision
Right.
to have a single tax rate for all.
No, I mean, just so how you're voting on it today to determine what date we're gonna have that. I think in the past, it's just been decided with the TA and the
It's-
assessor instead of
yeah,
coming
it'll
to
be-
here for a vote. So in the future, if the board would like, we just use an administrative process in the background, or if the board would like to continue voting on when the hearing's gonna be.
You remind me about that next year if I'm still around, because I forget about it.
Got it?
But, yeah. So we will see the assessors on, November 10th.
Number 10.
Sounds like a plan.
Next item is K, to appoint a records access officer.
So the chair asked we put this on the agenda. I assume it was because you had appointed the previous TA, and so you have a new person sitting in the seat, so it probably is, kosher to reappoint them. We've had a couple of public records requests since I started. I had never done them before, so I had to learn the process. Luckily, I know a couple town clerks, and legal counsel also supplied me with a nice form letter. But so one of the things I've been doing since I started is trying to make the office more efficient and run as a normal, select board office / TA office should run. I've been finding various things like, invoices coming to my office that don't need to come to my office. Different departments can handle that, or certain website requests or certain public hearing notice requests that, especially departments who have administrative staff could be handling. When I started here and learned that historically the TA was the records access officer, that was also surprising. I don't think I know of any other town that has it done that way. It's not gonna say every single town in the entire Commonwealth is the town clerks, because Templeton wasn't. But the data that I gathered, basically, 100% it was the town clerk's office that handles, that function. And in a lot of towns, the police department or the police chief is appointed as an assistant, records access officer. Because the police department will often get, an abnormal amount of, public records requests. And so, and just to give some clarification on, what this job like actually entails, this person would receive in the public records request. They wouldn't necessarily be the ones going to get them unless it happened to be in their office. But they would, coordinate with the department. So, like I did with, justice in the assessing office, or, like I'm doing with IT for a different, request that's basically email based. I have to have them, spin up that information. This person also would, once it's determined, okay, how long is this going to take you to do it? It's a couple hours. If we're going to charge them, it's $50. You update the form letter and you send it to the person. You receive in the check if they owe anything and they have to pay, and then you tell the department who has to, gather the records to gather them, send them, and then the records access officer would take in that record and send it off to, whoever's requesting it. So, that is essentially, what it is, and how that process works. I don't mean to give people more work, but, it's a bit unusual for it to be in a TA's office. It probably should rest in the town clerk's office. And if there are any, difficulties adjusting to that, I now have some information that I can pass along. I did hand out to you earlier, if you're interested, 950 CMR, I think it's 32. I just printed off the first 3 pages because it's 10 pages long. On page 3, this is the regulation that sort of governs records access officers. And, it mentions that the records access officer is the town clerk or their designee or other designated individual by, I think it says the executive authority. So generally speaking, by default, it is the town clerk's office as the record keeper for the town.
I also looked at a lot of towns, and many, not all, where the town clerk was either the records access officer or would have the police chief and the fire chief or something, but the town clerk would be the super records access officer. But they would have a request form on the
Yeah.
town clerk's page, so you could fill that out.
Right.
And submit it, so you don't necessarily go in and, hey, town clerk, this is what I want. They have to do the legwork.
Yeah.
Right then and there, and tell the people, well, it's, I'll have to get back to you, even though you have 10 days. Perhaps it's something to look at.
I actually agree, and I'd be happy to, create that form. That's actually a good idea, because there was something on our website that someone used and it was old. It wasn't really in compliance, it would seem, with
And,
how things are.
I have several of them for area towns, and they look like identical forms. I mean, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel.
No,
Somebody's
Salisbury has it all.
already done that.
Yeah, they have it.
So you'd submit it to the town clerk, and then, let me get a hold of the accountant and get this information, or here or here.
And by the way, my recommendation would, be to make the town clerk the records access officer, but to make the police chief the assistant records access officer for police department, public records requests only. And I have talked to him about this, and he's fine with that.
And also listed on our website is the general manager as John Driscoll as the records officer for light and water.
Yeah, we wouldn't vote on that. They would handle that themselves, just like the school district.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. So, like when the select board gets certain records, things, some of them can be possibly, some litigation or something. Or it's, like the department, the TA knows more about what's going on between the department heads on a day-to-day basis, basically, versus the clerk. And I'm just a little confused on it's been traditionally in our town forever to have the records officer through the town administrator. For some of those, I haven't looked into it for some of those reasons because of the confidentiality on some of the requests. The people are requesting the information and they're asking for, you know, for us to go, like for me or Lisa, or for us to go through a certain period of time of emails to send to it. And I feel like this is something that the TA would know more about what our board is doing or what a department is doing versus the town clerk. Now, the town clerk, if they ask about different things about our minutes or certain things about something that she's storing at her end, I feel like she's more access to what she's currently been doing over the years in that realm, but I just feel like that the town administrator's office has always handled this because of the sensitive material that some of these requests can involve. And I think it's interesting that we would want to change it. Just because other towns do something doesn't necessarily, I mean, it always worked for our town to do it this way. I don't see why change it.
Well, so to talk about that for a minute, the only thing that is, there are very few things that aren't public records. One of them is anything that's in litigation or attorney-client privilege, and those are communications between us and Harrington and Heap or any special counsel we use. So that would be the only thing to consider, and that's it right there. You know, there's certain things that are not public records, that's black and white. And
But the
then,
individual could be, excuse me, I'm sorry. The individual could be asking based on, they're looking for records, so it's basically giving a blueprint of something that's going on to somebody that's not involved in the conversation.
being involved or not involved in the conversation wouldn't have an effect on a public record. Again, if we are in litigation or someone is asking about executive session minutes, that we know what is approved and what isn't approved. And maybe if you give me an example of something you'd,
Well, no, I
about?
can't, because like currently a few things, but I wouldn't give you an example of those things right now, so no, I can't. The only thing I know, because I've only been on the board since May, is what I know, and I can't currently use that as an example, so therefore I can't. I'm just saying in a couple of things that I've seen, you know, hypothetically, I feel like, you know,
if there's an email and it's not attorney-client privilege or something to have to do with our negotiating position with unions, it's a public record. There aren't going to be other things that we can not turn over to people.
I just think that our office is always, the town of select board office, the select board office has always done it officially. And I personally don't feel like it needs to be changed. And go to the clerk and add more works to her load that she already has.
And again, if someone called the TA and said, hey, I want a copy of the warrant or this, he's gonna go ask the accountant to do it, and that's what a town clerk can do. It comes in, hey, I want this executive session minutes of the dispatch collective bargaining. Town clerk doesn't have those, but she can just do like is done when the TA is there and calls and says, what's the status on this? And again, that's where a public records request form can come into play and just be on the town clerk website.
I just feel like.
Just because Templeton's been doing it this way for X amount of years, doesn't mean it's the right way.
I have a few comments on that. For one thing, our office, I have myself, I'm full-time and I only have a part-time employee. Where the selectman's office, town administrator's office usually has two full-time employees and a part-time position. Most towns that assign the RAO do these to the town clerk, provide extra staffing or stipends, which Templeton obviously can't do that. The town administrator's office obviously has, they already work directly with the town council. So it's easy for you to talk to town council and get any legal advice or anything like that. I'm just not sure why it would be changing, because not every town has, it's not the town clerk. It's town administrators, or it can be, you know, the police chief who did it.
So I'll comment on that. In addition to speaking to the town clerk up in Salisbury, who is, been doing it for a long time, Harrington and Heap, who has many municipal clients, not a one of them knew of any town that had a records access officer who wasn't the town clerk. I also sent it out to the MMHR listserv, and we got back 20 or 30 responses that were all town clerk. The only nuances is that sometimes the police chief or the fire chief took the records for them as well. And so as far as, who's doing it, the town clerk is your record keeper for the town. That is why all towns have the town clerk doing something like that. Again, it is coordination mostly. But, to her point, yeah, she has a part-time staff. I have a full-time staff person who also has a full-time job. So it kind of comes down to, do you want your town administrator being bogged down with more paperwork, or do you want your town administrator focusing on higher level things? So the chair asked us to be on the agenda. It's my professional opinion that, this should not be in this office. We have a lot of other things to do that I'm trying to get to, and spending some time on records requests, I don't think is a very good use of my time.
So I checked on 25 communities. 16 of them clearly state that the town clerk is the RAO. That would be Ashburnham, Athol, Air, Orange, Shirley, Rowe, Canton, Lancaster, Hanson, Needham, Princeton, Sterling, Rutland, Holden, Westminster, Montague have the town clerk listed as the RAO. There are 3 communities of that have the town clerk listed as the super RAO, as they have some department heads listed as RAOs. Also, police, fire, finance. Barry and Bolton have all their department heads listed as RAOs. Mount Washington has their town manager listed as the RAO. Milford has a TO listed as RAO. The city of Gardner has their law department, the redevelopment authority, their public schools, and police listed as RAOs, with the city clerk listed as the RAO for all other departments. Where has everybody listed as an RAO, including the TA? So the majority of the towns have the town clerk as the RAO. I also looked at the salaries of the town clerk, and some time ago, actually back in like 2012, non-union personnel hours were cut when there was a budget. They were cut at on town meeting floor. We recessed town meeting, the select board met with the advisory committee, and we went through the budget, and we had to find 70-something thousand. We had a chunk of money, and it's the non-union personnel as usual who took the cut. In 13, we did an override and got those funds back so we could give employees their money and hours back. And also for most of the non-union employees stayed with the town. That's how this town hall went from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. 5 days a week to a 4-day a week. I brought that forward as a member of the select board because I thought there was an incentive or something for them for sticking with us. And over the years, not sure how it happened, but the town clerk's salary was left behind, I will say, compared to other department heads. It went from 2020, it was 59,280, and in 20 In 2025, it jumped up to 77,000. It's still low, and it's one of the areas in the 27 budget homework assignment for the town administrator is, and that needs to be addressed and bumped up to get comparable with other town department heads who have been here less time than the town clerk. And considering the duties of a town clerk that are the record keeper for the town meeting, head of town elections, has input in the tax recap sheet to certify all the town meeting votes. Dog licenses, is like swears in all the people that are appointed and elected. And these aren't, everyday things, but they're important and they're the cycle of the year. So that's just a point I wanted to toss out that we are lacking in paying the town clerk, and some of these towns that I looked at, they're in the mid-80s or low 90s. So it's, and again, this duty as RAO is not something, you're gonna get everyday requests. Generally, I don't believe. One of the most, maybe the most asked for thing, even though you can get them on the online, is meeting minutes, and they are in the clerk's office.
So, Mr. Chair,
So that's the result of my research, looking at the history of the town clerk here in town in the last, back at 2012 salary, and looking at area towns and who the RA.
telling us that our town clerk was possibly not paid for what she's currently doing, and you want us to add more work to her workload. That doesn't even make any logical sense to myself. I'm personally feel like the town administrator should be handled, the excess officer should be handled through the town administrator's office, the way it has been handled. I would like to make a motion that the town administrator be appointed as the records officer.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Hearing both sides of the discussion. And I did some comparable research to you. There was another town out in the southeast corner, if not on the Cape, that also, much like Barry, had mostly every department had listed as an RAO, which actually to me made sense. They are the subject matter experts for their area. Now, that said, if they need some assistance, sure. They have a question regarding legal, it would make sense, contact the TA's office. They have a question regarding a formatting, a structure, it would make sense, contact the town clerk's office. Just throwing it out there as an idea and thinking outside the box. I'm not one to say, let's continue the way we've always done it, because that doesn't necessarily mean we're doing it correctly.
So, Mr. Toth, are you suggesting that you make all your department heads RAOs?
Yes.
That's okay. The problem with that, respectfully, of course, with that, they would all be in charge of sending and keeping track of, they would all need training, and they'd all be in charge of sending letters to these individuals themselves. So we would have to train everyone and show them the form letters and help them write them. And so it would, that's, maybe those smaller towns do that because they have less full-time staff, less departments. I'm not sure, but that would be tricky.
Comment noted. I see it as a training opportunity that definitely can be explored, but comment noted.
Any further discussion? On the motion, how would you vote, Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. May?
No.
Mr. Toth,
No.
Ms. Basso,
Yes.
and I vote no. That motion failed. So at this time, I would make a motion to appoint the town clerk as a records officer per 950 CMR 32, and for the police chief, be the records access officer for police and dispatch department.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? On the motion. How would you vote? Ms. Graves?
No.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
No.
Ms. Basso?
No.
I vote yes, and that motion fails as well. We have to have an records access officer. It is required by law. So I guess we'll.
Well, I guess per CMR, 950 CMR 32, if no one is appointed, then it is the town clerk.
Would be by default. So moving on from item K is
Right.
Royal
You're back.
Royal
Year
Sun-
later, almost a while later.
having more fun with the Cannabis Control
Yeah.
Commission.
Yeah. Yeah, so they've been piecing stuff out. I don't know if you remember, we had that couple 3 or 4 month delay because we could put titles under the signatures. Yeah,
Yes.
they then took that and one thing after another, and then I was all ready and they said, oh, we need to run your fingerprints with the FBI again. Even though I'm licensed in all other towns, so.
If I may, back in
Yeah.
December of 2024. They had to come before us, because he has several applications, several things in for the cannabis control, and there was an error on one, and they told him they'll do them all over again. He came here, we had a one agenda item, so we could vote a second time to sign to sign a community agreement, so he could go back and talk with the wonderful Cannabis Control Commission.
Yeah.
And so now he's back, because gotta add another detail on this.
Yep.
Crazy train called the Cannabis Control Commission.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
based on my talk with town council, I do recommend that the select board sign the letter as herein stated.
yes, and we did, back, the board approved a social equity policy, another requirement, from the Cannabis Control Commission. So I don't know if they just keep pumping out requirements to, build things up, or if they have, stock in paper companies or something, I don't know. But at this time, I would make a motion to accept the Royal Sun Cannabis Limited Liability Corporation application for marijuana retail license, and stating that he's following all our bylaws, ordinances, and so forth, and for the chair to sign.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion?
I do have one comment.
Yes, sir.
Looking through this packet, and I don't see any reference to that social equity policy, nor do I see the reference to our December 18th meeting out of all the documents they have listed. And that's a little bit disturbing to me because when we met on December 18th, it was specifically because there were no contracts or agreements on the town's website according to the Cannabis Control Commission. Yet I reviewed this letter and I don't see it here either.
No,
Just throwing it out there as a general comment, nothing against the individual, nothing against trying to get a business into town, but the CCC does not seem to have their act together, my personal opinion.
I mean, if you look at what we're signing, you're saying that I'm following your bylaws.
Yes.
I mean, I've already got a special permit a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
You wouldn't have
and
given me
he-
one if I wasn't following your bylaws.
He hasn't done much, but he's following our bylaws.
And then if you look at page 1, they tell you you have 60 days. And if you look at the bottom of page 2, they tell you you only have 30 days.
Yes.
They don't know what's going on.
There was.
If you guys want an update, we're gonna be open, we think, in January.
Off of, you have to do this and this, but you can do this in this amount of time, and so that's why we approved the socialist.
Well, gladly, we turn in 4% of our revenue, the lovely Templeton. So hopefully we can give you guys a bunch of money.
If they ever let you move forward.
January, we're gonna open, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair. Had a comment. I'm glad you stuck with it. I remember when you came in here with your little folded up piece of paper on day one. And I think that was what, in 2018 or 19?
Yeah, it was a while.
So it's been a long road and, I think it would be nice to have a dispensary in town rather than all around us. So congratulations
Thanks.
and, I hope it all works.
All right, thank you. We have one of our drive-throughs up if anyone wants to look at it. So can I get a copy of that one today, like a picture of it or?
When we're both been signed on it, yeah.
Sorry.
No problem.
It's okay.
I understand where you're coming from,
Turn
and
it into
why. A piece of paper goes there, you'll be back here again.
This is it.
I hope so. You'll say.
On the motion, how would you vote, Ms. Graves?
Yes.
Mr. May?
Yes.
Mr. Toth?
Yes.
Ms. Basso?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
If the board would like to sign that now, I'll go make a copy and I'll give him the original.
Awesome.
So you can go home.
One
Do you,
thing,
could you also email it to them tomorrow, you think, or somebody?
Yes.
I just don't know how well they'll take it from me, but you never know. They're like, oh, we only accept it from the town.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say something. Wasn't there, a part where you got denied or something because the town didn't write the titles of each individual?
Cost me 4 months, and I don't blame you.
Right, so we should write our titles underneath our
If They
signatures?
have an actual spot.
Oh, they have a spot
Yeah, they have
for
a
it?
spot.
Okay, just checking, because I remember that.
Oh, that was miserable. And it's funny because you go through that process and they say, oh, now you get your FBI fingerprints done.
This is the one you need, right? This is the letter, this one?
Yep.
It actually looks like there's only one signature
Yep.
line, so,
Sure.
well, maybe the best thing would be for the board to approve me to sign it, and then I'll just, or the chair to
I
sign.
believe the motion was for the first.
Oh, okay.
Sign it,
There
yeah.
you go. All right.
This is it.
This is the.
End of the
did you put
journey.
your chair underneath there, that you were the chair?
You want to see me? I'll be at the Rotary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye. At the Rotary till.
Thank you, sir. Good luck to you.
Good luck.
He spent, I don't know, he spent almost more time here than he has
Yes.
at his facilities. I
Oh.
mean, he just,
I give him credit for sticking with it.
Yeah, same here. It's been six long years that he's been chugging
Yep.
against the CCC.
yeah, he keeps coming in and, hey, I need this, we
Versus
need
at
that.
the
It's-
poor guy, it's at the bottom of the agenda.
We're gonna do
He had,
justices.
yeah, he had one document that had the wrong thing on it, and they told him, go do. They gave him the whole thing back, to do them all over again. It's like, are you kidding me? But
Mr. Chair, we're gonna jump back to justices item.
yes, we are.
Okay, 'cause I'm asking because I'm just not going to participate in it, so I'm gonna leave it right. That's the case.
Back to the item B. Run to the mailbox or whatever.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Justice Graves, and I am the Assistant Race Director for the 46 Greater Gardner Turkey Trot. Just to preface, I know some of you on the board have been here when we've presented before. Some of you are new to the board. So essentially what this request is for, the Greater Gardner Turkey Trot goes from City Hall over in Gardner to the American Legion in Baldwinville. It's called the point-to-point race. It's about 5 miles. And when you cross into Baldwinville, when you're going onto Central Street, the reason why we bring up this request is because we are using the town roads, because you are the road commissioners for the town on all streets and ways. And what we are looking for, as we have in the past, is for the spot where Central Street connects to Elm Street. If you look at your information from your packet, whether it be, overhead of Central Street in Templeton or the intersection between Elm and Central, that area be blocked off, because that is where the runners shoot in, and that the race has permission in order to block off the parking going from the American Legion all the way down to where the Thirsty Turtle is. So that way there are no cars trying to park in and out on Central Street, directly in the path of the runners as they go through. And it creates a nice barrier where there are a lot of spectators that like to be there, instead of them trying to crisscross across the street, or try to run over from the island over where the memorial is in Baldwinville Center. Everybody, has free flowing ability to go from either, they're staying at the island or they're staying along the sidewalk there. And there's no issues where, again, vehicles are coming in and out, along that way. Other than that, all of the information in your packet regarding, there is a bus schedule where, in terms of parking, people can either park down in Baldwinville, and there is one shuttle from the American Legion over to Gardner City Hall, or as most people do, because there's more parking at Gardner City Hall, people will park at Gardner, start the race from Gardner, go over to Baldwinville, and then we bus people all the way back to Gardner City Hall so that they can go home for Thanksgiving. So in terms of parking or any issues like that, that is how we've handled it. And we contract that through Wilson Bus Company. The schedule hasn't changed in the last several years, and it won't change again this year as far as I'm aware. So with that, and with that request for going down Central Street, we haven't really had to do this. We do usually set up cones, but we would again ask the board to allow us to put no parking signs on that way, in those parking spots in case people were to try and park. Usually the cones and the chute there keep and are a deterrent from people to do that, and we usually get there early enough. On your application, it states that we're usually setting up around 5 a.m. That's usually when we get down there because the race does start, walkers at 8 and runners at 8:30. So with that being said, I don't know if there's any questions, if anyone's unfamiliar with the Turkey Trot, if anyone has any concerns.
I believe the temporary no parking signs go through the police department. I have no problem with this, as long as the police is aware of it. I know it's been going on for a bunch of years, and I don't recall ever hearing any issues associated with this. As most events that we have, things that in the roads or on the corners or anything.
Right, police and fire are aware, Justice is very diligent, they got a copy of all this and signed off on it.
And that's good, I'm fine with that.
Thanksgiving on the 27th this year?
What's that?
Thanksgiving's on the 27th. This is the morning of
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
morning of Thanksgiving on the 27th, that Thursday,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if I'm up that time of day, but I ain't running anyway.
Guarantee you.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the Greater Gardner Turkey Trot as presented and for the town administrator to sign for the board.
So
And second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. How'd you vote, Mr. May,
yes.
Mr. Toth,
Yes.
Ms. Basso,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes.
I'll get you that tomorrow, Justice.
Okay, sounds like a plan, thank you. There is just one more thing, regarding the process that I just wanted to make the board aware. I know that there's several new board members and I know there's been a lot of changeover. I happened to be available to be at the meeting tonight. But I know that with the changeover and stuff, it wasn't clearly communicated that, this would be on the agenda. I just wanted to make that aware just because, you know, I'm not always going to be the assistant race director, and just because I may work around the corner here, you know, from a nonprofit's perspective, you know, just keeping that in mind with the timeliness of that, I already knew I was going to be in the building today, and I already, you know, saw the agenda. But I just wanted to make the board aware of that for the future, just because I saw that. But other than that, I really appreciate the board's time and consideration tonight. And I hope you all have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Justice.
At this time, town administrator report or comment?
We do,
Did we?
Um,
Beating a dead horse.
Oh, we have, one more thing, right?
Yeah.
letter M, town meeting discussion, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Beating a dead horse.
That's right, she's passing on that.
Oh, sorry, okay,
So we are done.
yep. Oh, so we're on me now? Are we doing town administrator's report?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'll be quick, cause I know it's getting late. I just wanted to give you an update on, the credit card assignment, that the board, asked me to look into and, so essentially, looking at last month's bill, I was able to identify, several items that were recurring charges. Most of them were just different Comcast bills because you get one for town hall, one for police, fire, et cetera. So I was able to, you know, after spending time trying to get into the system, because none of that stuff is, you know, in my name or anything. Was able to move that off, so that'll be invoiced going forward. So now that's off the credit card. There was AT&T charge. So that's those are the town cell phones that are in town. I was able to gain access to that and move that off, and that's going to come in the form of an invoice now going forward. A couple of problems remain. Was finally able, working with IT, to get access to our Microsoft account, which is the billing for our email system and our cloud services that hold, you know, our Microsoft suite. And we're trying to figure out how to communicate with them to move it off the credit card, because it's not clear why it's being charged through the website. So we're trying to figure that out. The one issue is Vonage, which is our desk phones, essentially, in this building, and I think in the Council on Aging. Because that bill is under $1,000 a month, it's a little over 600, like 650 or so. Vonage doesn't allow you to do anything other than use a credit card. So for that reason and a couple of other things, so the treasurer informed me that the way they buy envelopes is to buy a bulk of them with postage already on pre-stamped envelopes from the post office. So post office won't invoice you. You got to buy them with something. Other towns use a mail machine, which, you know, is an upfront cost to that. And then it would actually make things much more inefficient because when it came time for big mailings of taxes, tax bills and whatnot, it would be a manual process to feed it through a mail machine, plus other, I think other departments like the Council on Aging Senior Center would have to come over and use that mail machine instead of, you know, using the prepaid postage stamps. Speaking of the senior center, one thing that the credit card's used for is every now and then they take the seniors on a trip to, you know, let's say a museum or a show or something like that. And they were using the credit card to pay for those tickets because you have to buy them online. Obviously, you can't get something like that to invoice you. That was another, you know, rare reason that the credit card, you know, for consideration with a credit card. So my goal is to move everything off this card, especially because it's in no one's name at this point. So it can't be used. So other departments are having to either open accounts or get invoiced with the vendors that they're used to having. But I am starting to see that a corporate card used for very, very limited purchases might be useful. So I'm in talks with a bank called M&T Bank, which they're kind of all around. So I'll have more on that for you down the road. Another thing I've been working on is we have a rural communities grant for Barry Road. That has quarterly reporting and it's a reimbursable grant. So we get an invoice from Ty and Bond, we pay it, and then they require a number of pieces of information for us to get reimbursed. It's about $300,000. I got up to speed with that. We're very behind, it turns out, on our reimbursement. So probably this week I'll be submitting for reimbursements totaling $72,500. So we'll get that money back into where it belongs, into the town coffers. And just want to mention to the joy, I'm sure, of TCTV, the Scout Hall bid is out and we are accepting bids in from vendors, and we hope to open multiple bids on November 13th at noon. And that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. May,
Yeah, nothing.
Mr. Toth,
I've got nothing.
Ms. Basso? Ms. Graves?
Yes, I just wanted to say I went to Hooten Park today. They had the opening ceremony, Parks and Rec for the park, so it's now open. So people can go in and enjoy it. It's mostly geared towards the younger age, you know, kindergartners, your first graders, age bracket. It's a beautiful park and it hopefully will stay nice and lovely. Also, I want to remind everybody that on Halloween, Friday from 5 to 7 is trick or treat. Rain or shine, we have it in our town, so just wanted to remind everybody about, we have trick or treat. It is Friday, right? I got, okay. And I wish everybody a happy Halloween and have a safe one out there. Yeah, that's it.
I have one thing. It's a big deal for me because it's Veterans Day is coming around the corner. And since 2020, it's turned in one of my favorite things to do. For a lot of years, way before 2020, a teacher at Narragansett, Miss Lisa Damon, has each year introduced her fifth grade class to Veterans Day. And she turns them over to them and they do various projects. They make cards, do little presentations. And back in 2020, some of those cards made it here to the select board. And each member got, you know, however many cards we had, 3 or 4 or 5. I still have those cards that I was handed to that night. They're pretty cool, pretty awesome. And I made a big deal out of it. I wanted to go meet those kids. And at the time, there was 3 veterans on the board, myself, Mike Curry, and Mr. Toth. And at that time, we were all in this silly thing of, locking down and stuff. So we didn't get to meet all of the kids, but we got to meet a number of them along with their teacher. And it was pretty special. So the following Veterans Day, and each year since then, when Veterans Day is, approaching in the summer, I emailed the teacher and asked if they're gonna do that, and can we meet the kids? And it's a very low key, not organized, it's not a big dog and pony show. We go over to the school district, we go into the auditorium, we meet the whole class, talk with them, they do cards. Last year they made some posters. They slid the Coast Guard in. We had the superintendent of schools who is a veteran himself. They ask, you never know what they're gonna do. They ask some inquisitive questions. The last few years, they've turned over a big box of Halloween candy. Gotta talk to them, keep the sweets to themselves. But it's a very special deal. It's a real privilege to meet the students. And this year, Miss Damon retired, but she is going to, I'm told she is going to be there. It's on a Friday, it's November 7th. It's at Narragansett, you go into the middle school. You go down the driveway and doors there, and you go in the office and you sign in, and any veteran who wants to go, it's a pretty cool thing to do. It's really a privilege to meet the students. And they come up with some good stuff. Their cards, they did some recitals last year. They went up on the stage and they like some poems and stuff, and they made some posters. They asked questions, and it's a really good thing. Any veteran who wants to show up. We've had from 3 to, I think one year we had 12,
17 or 19.
16. I think there was a couple of women veterans who showed up.
Yes.
So, you're welcome. It's a really special thing. For me, there was another Marine veteran a couple of years ago, Big Tough Marines. He said it. It's a privilege, and he said, let me know next year, I want to come back. So, I believe it's around 11-ish, because it's on the Friday, and supposedly after we get done talking with them and stuff, they're going to be able to, I think this year, they're going to be able to skedaddle.
10:30.
And I think there was the current teacher mentioned something about whether there may be lunch, but it's, don't worry about that. It's get to meet the kids, and it's really special. For me, it's a privilege to meet them and see what they do. They do some awesome stuff. And we'll get to thank Miss Damon for all the things that she has done over a lot of years, introducing the kids to this to Veterans Day, that it's more than just a day off from school. So that's all I have. At this point in time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.